Okay, hi. In this video, I'm going to post more on rationalization, and I'm going to solve the last four exercises. Okay, because that's what we are going. Those are the exercises that we are going to solve. Well, we're going to solve more, right? We are also going to solve the other ones, but these are the important ones. So we have to rationalize the denominator. In this case, we have a binomial. I solved one in the previous video, but I'm going to solve it so you can solve your answer your questions, etc. And hopefully we will save some time in next class. Okay, so we have to rationalize the denominator. Remember that we have to multiply by the conjugate binomial of the denominator, right? The denominator, just the denominator. Remember that we said that they are the same terms, but we have to change one sign. So 2 plus the square root of 5 is the conjugate binomial of 2 minus the square root of 5. So let's multiply. Remember, it's product of fractions, so let's multiply the numerators. It's 3 times 2 plus the square root of 5. And we have conjugate binomials in the denominator, so the answer is difference of squares. Some of you remember, because you studied special products. So, or just remember the rule that I gave you in the previous video. So, let's multiply in the numerator. Remember that we have to multiply 3 times 2 and 3 times the square root of 5. So, what do we get? We get 3 times 2 is 6 plus 3 times the square root of 5. We already know that it's 3 the square root of 5. We cannot multiply because 3 is not inside a square root. Now, let's solve the squares in the denominator. 2 squared is 4 minus the square root of 5 square. We simplify and it's 5. So, I cannot simplify anything in the numerator. I'm just going to copy. Why? Because the second term has a square root of 5 and the first one doesn't. So I cannot add them. But I can subtract 4 and 5. 4 minus 5 is minus 1. So that is the answer. Or you can say that you have 6 divided by minus 1 plus 3 times the square root of 5 divided by minus 1. Right? It's the same. So what is 6 divided by minus 1? Well, it's minus 6. And what is 3 the square root of 5 divided by minus 1? Negative 3 the square root of 5. Okay? So that's the answer. Now let's move to the next example. In this case, it is number 22 in our exercises, in our class activity. There it is. Again, let's multiply by the conjugate binomials to rationalize. So the conjugate binomial of the denominator again, right? We're just looking at our denominator for now. So remember the same terms, but let's change the sign of one of them, one of the terms. We have the conjugate binomials in the numerator and the denominator, because that's like multiplying by 1, and if you multiply by 1, you are not doing anything to your exercise. So we can do that without changing the problem. So let's multiply the numerators and the denominators. We have the difference of squares, like the previous example and the previous video. So let's multiply that 2 by both terms inside the parentheses. So what do we get? We get 2 times the square root of 6 minus, right, a positive times a negative is a negative, 2 multiplied by 2, 4. So what is this in the denominator? What is the square root of 6 squared? It's just 6. Or as some of you did in class today, the square root of 6 times 6, right? It's just 6. Minus, what is the square root of 2? 4. Okay, I cannot simplify anything in the numerator because one has a square root and the other doesn't. And 6 minus 2 is minus 2, right? You can leave it like that, or you can say, okay, I have 2, the square root of 6 divided by minus 2, and minus 4 divided by minus 2, right? So 2 divided by 2 is 1, but it's going to be a negative, because a positive divided by a negative is a negative. Then I have a negative divided by a negative, it's going to be a positive. 4 divided by 2 is 2. That's the answer. Okay, you can remember, pause the video, watch this exercise again, the solution. We will continue. Number 23. Okay, what is the solution? Well, remember to multiply by the conjugate binomial of the denominator, just the denominator. The same terms, we change the sign, we multiply those two fractions, like you already know, 4 times 3 plus the square root of 2, and we have conjugate binomial. The product of conjugate binomial is the difference of squares, the first term square minus the second term square. Okay, there are the special products that you learn in algebra. Now 4 times 3 in the numerator is 12 plus, what is 4 times the square root of 2? 4 the square root of 2. Okay, remember, 4 doesn't have a square root, 2 does have a square root. Now what is 3 square in the denominator, 9 minus, what is the square root of 2 square? The square root of 2 times 2, or we just simplify the square root with the square, and we get 2. So we cannot add anything in the numerator because 4 has a square root of 2 and 12 doesn't. What is 9 minus 2? 7. That's it. Okay? If you need to pause the video to study the problem or go back, please do. But we're going to move on with the last exercise from today's activity. So I think this is the most complicated exercise in the activity today. Remember, is the denominator, we have to find the conjugate. So it's going to be plus, right? We have the conjugate binomial. We have to multiply. In this case, I have the product of two binomials in the numerator, and we have conjugate binomials in the denominator, so difference of squares. We use that, and we get the square of the first term minus the square of the second term. Okay, the denominator is easier to do. The square root of 5 square is just 5 minus the square root of 2 square is 2. Okay, now what about the product of those two binomials in the numerator? Okay, we already solved those exercises. 4 has to be multiplied by the square root of 5 and the square root of 2, and then we're going to multiply the square root of 2 by the two terms in the second binomial. So let's do that. What do we get? 4 times the square root of 5 is 4 times the square root of 5. 4 times the square root of 2, positive, right? A positive times a positive is 4 times the square root of 2. A positive times a positive. The square root of 2 times the square root of 5 is 4 times 5 inside. This is a 5. Now, plus the square root of 2 times the square root of 2. It's of course 2. I can write it like this. I'm just using one more step. So in the denominator, 5 minus 2 is just 3. And then what do we get here? I cannot do anything to the first term. I cannot do anything to the second term. I can write 2 times 5 is 10. And plus, what is 2 times 2 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. Or you can just take out 2 from inside the square root, right? Remember, we work in pairs. We take out just one from each pair, and if we take out all of the pairs there, we have just 1, and the square root of 1 is 1. So we have 2. Now, what is the answer? Can I simplify something in the numerator? No, I can't. They have different square roots, so I cannot add anything. 2 is without any square root, so I cannot add it with anything. So that's the answer. Okay. So I hope this video helps you to understand this subject, rationalization of the denominator. I think these are the most complicated problems that we're going to study in this subject. So I hope this video helps you. Thanks for watching.